This is a very simple model. It has lots of problems with it. Yes, there's lots that's been written about it, both positive and negative. However, what it does allow you to conceptualize is how we do work with our technology today. Forget about the future, but how we go today. How many of us really do what we keep doing and we might just substitute? How many of us have moved along and maybe do some augmented work with our kids? Or dare I say, have we redefined the way in which we actually do the work with our students? If we replace book with online, that's great. We're down to substitution. Just substitute one thing for another. But how do we move across so that we've actually changed the way in which we use the tools so that we get a little bit of a redefinition of the types of things that we're actually doing here. Now, some of these examples are all over the place. Whether you're familiar with them or not doesn't particularly matter at this point. We'll introduce you to a whole range of tools, but it gives you an idea of the sorts of things that you can actually do to get down to the redefinitions. If we're simply at the point of substitution, then at least we're making a start. And that's not a bad thing. Right? It's not a bad thing. If we substituted one thing for another, that's okay. We've made a start. But that's where we're at. So we're going to think about how we get to this point around redefining what we do. So how do we connect with new ideas and new concepts and new technologies to really change the way that we actually do our assessment and our learning for our students? And we'll keep coming back to this. If you've not seen anything around augmented reality, for example, that's pretty cool sort of stuff that we could that we can leverage later. If you can't do a QR code, even that's pretty cool. Okay, that's my last slide. So let's pull this out. So this is now over to you. What we're going to ask you to do in your KLAs is to reconnect with the conversations that you're having at the end of the staff development day. Right? The point of reconnecting with those is that you should be some way down the track of identifying those problems of practice. Now remember, kids are going to come with a device at the beginning of next year in Year 7 and Year 9. The goal is you need to be ready for whatever it is that you're going to be doing next year. As we said, like the video, the lady in the video was talking, the teacher in the video was talking about, it's going to look different in different classrooms. We are not going to prescribe for you exactly what we expect for you to be doing. We're not going to say to you that we're going to flip all our learning in the senior years and do project-based and problem-based learning in our junior years. Because it might be appropriate for some of your units and some of your courses and some of your KLAs, but not for every one of your units and every one of your KLAs. Some of you may have a class with particular challenges. Projects might be the way to go. Flipped classrooms might be the way to go. Maybe a straight out blended with direct instruction might be the way to go. So we need to be, and we will be, flexible. But one of the things that did come out of the staff development day is that people did prefer for us to offer some one-on-ones and all these sorts of things that we wanted to, that we'd love to be able to do all the time. So what we've done is we've come up with a professional program to support you. So I'll quickly go through this and then it's pretty much over to you. Each week on Monday afternoon, we will have something. It's up to you which ones you come to, but I'll share this with you at the end of today. There are some things that we need you to come to. So this afternoon is one example. We have a KLA meeting to touch base again in the middle of the term, and then I'm hoping by week 10 we can do some training in Google Classroom with you. Everything else, including the public holiday, is optional in between times. So you can come to those things if it's appropriate. So for example, if you have a particular problem and you would like to find a place to store your artifacts, your resources and those sorts of things, and you want to learn about Google Sites, then obviously you'll come to these particular Mondays and you'll learn about how to manage your Google Sites and manage your documents and those sorts of things. Next week we have a plethora of special guests, your colleagues who will be presenting some of the tools that they've been using in the classroom, Pinterest, Instagram. We'll be talking about social bookmarking, for example, so you can keep all your stuff together. What's that pesky hashtag that everyone keeps talking about and why is it really, really useful, and I should know this now? than get too deep in and find out that I can't find any of the kids' work ever again. So we're going to go through and show you some real basics about how to organise, tag and store your resources and your data and those sorts of things. And every week we'll show you some critical skills. So we've got some curation skills, selecting and organising content, websites, wikis, blogs. What are all these things? What's an iTunes U? You should be familiar with Edmodo, and there'll be others that we'll introduce to you. We have Chris Charles Bulu, coming to talk about ClickView, copyright and those sorts of things, how to organise your content in ClickView, how then we can stick that into a Google site, for example, and then in our classrooms. That's this term's offerings for you. Next term, we will start by looking at flipped learning. We have a contact at Marist who is going to be sitting with Ryan and I and anyone else who is interested to talk about, answer some of our particular questions, but people are welcome to come on this session. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about flipped learning, please let Ryan or I know so we can organise this. It'll be a Google Hangout with Kurt, and Kurt will answer some of our questions. So if you're keen on learning a little bit more, but we will be doing something as a follow-up in term 3. We have wikis and blogs, we have podcasting and screencasting, we have 3 weeks of movie making, YouTube capture and stop motion for people who don't want to make particular movies in their KLA. So we will try and meet all those particular needs. But wait, there is more. And in term 4, we will look at project-based learning. Hopefully Claire and Ryan will come back with a nice project that they've conjured up with our friends in the diocese. We will look at this thing called iBooks Author and have a look at how it works. Educanon, how to use quizzes in Educanon, Edmodo, Edpuzzle, and maybe Socratic. We'll do that. Infographics, what are infographics and who are they useful for? For example, if you've not done an infographic before, you should. They are the simplest way to show people a lot of really interesting, boring maths data in engaging ways. For those of you who do geography, for example, much more funner to look at than some stats and those sorts of things. You notice funner, English people. Select KLA meeting. And finally, what we will do is we will spend a little bit of time in the last 3 weeks of term 4 selecting, validating and looking at some apps that you can use in your classroom with your students for particular purposes. You'll gather these through your discussions with your KLAs each term so that we know exactly what we're going to be training for next year. And finally, we have a 3-day boot camp at the end of the term, culminating in a Teach Meet, which is where you are going to demonstrate what you have been working on in the last 30 weeks. So there's a lot of public accountability there for you. I'm happy to show you my public accountability every time we have these things. You're going to be happy to show me your public accountability at boot camp. So I'll be really keen to see what sort of things we start to deliver over the next 30 weeks. If that's not enough for you, Kerry will continue on Tuesday afternoon with her one-on-ones. Well, small one-on-ones, that wasn't really one-on-one. With her one-on-ones. Ryan and I will put on a Tuesday and a Thursday morning. When am I doing it? So Tuesday? Tuesday. So Tuesday's me, Thursday is Ryan, and I'll still do Wednesday afternoons for people who can't make any of those times. Now, what those afternoons and mornings are for where you need to come and need desperately to have some questions answered. So if you want to jump ahead and start talking about blogs and wikis because you've got a burning desire to run one off tomorrow and you're not sure where to start, come and see one of us on Tuesday or Thursday or Wednesday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon, and we'll be happy to sit with you and answer those particular questions. Okay, so that came out of your response to our staff development day that people wanted some one-on-one, so we've given you as much one-on-one as we can possibly afford to do. So there are all those opportunities for you. So if you need anything else, please let us know. We'll try to accommodate you as best we can. Our ultimate goal as a pedagogy team would be to try and get people into our classrooms to see us mucking around with stuff that we have no idea what we're doing. It makes you feel a little bit better about mucking around with stuff that you might get a little bit lost in as well. Okay, so this is the area that we're trying to get to. So you have some time now in your KLAs. Reconnect with your discussion. What are those problems in practice? What are those things that you should be working on now? What are those burning issues that you think, yes, we can do some good on? Begin.
Guys,
Karina, and I sent you all an email of where we were at last time we had the staff development day, and let's open the second one because the second one's got that plus the notes for today.
Today's notes from the staff meeting.
Because I've reinterpreted it to, be relevant to our department. So just have a little read and see. So the first part was things I lifted out that I thought were relevant to us from the staff development day, but after that